Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here once again with the Gallows Giant, another tabletop tournament replay. This is round 2, myself against Aristodemos. We've got our beautiful Gallows Giant Noctilus build up against a very mobile, cav-centric Dark Elf build. So we'll see how this goes for Aristo, but cards are definitely not looking in his favor. So my build you've seen before. We've got the Gallows Giant protected by Lamprey's Revenge, 3 handguns including the Black Spot, Carronade protected by Count Noctilus, and a whole bunch of zombie polearms and 3 deckhand mobs with 3 bats, fell bats. For Aristo's Dark Elves, he's got Slaanesh Harvesters and another unit of Doomfire Warlocks. Looks like Supreme Sorceress, Lore of Death on a horse here, 2 Cold One Chariots. He's got a couple of Bleak Swords, a couple of Dark Shards with shields, Sorceress Lore of Beasts with the Manticore summon. Got 2 Cold One Knights, 4 Cold One Knights, and that's pretty much it. So a very mobility-centric Dark Elf army, and you can see he's overloading everything over on one side, going to advance up through the woods and try and take advantage of that cover as much as possible. You can see the Slaanesh Harvesters having been dispatched to go after that Carronade piece in the back, currently losing shots into the Dark Shards, since a lot of these other larger units are not necessarily in a good firing position. But yeah, let's see if we do some good damage to the Dark Shards here. It was alright. Managed to kill off like 8 of them in a volley. That's not absolutely terrible. But yeah, meanwhile, the Doomfire Warlocks, and we've got the Cold One Chariots maneuvering up and around the side here. Noctilus is going to get spotted, but I don't realize that the Slaanesh Harvesters are back here, and they're going to get back and do a ton of damage to this Carronade here. A little bit unfortunate, but I should be able to get them to stabilize. Meanwhile, over here, this Gallows Giant pushing forward, trying to establish a presence out on this flank so that I can try and see some of these units back. But yeah, this isolated deckhand mob going to get a little bit alpha striked, if you will, alpha struck. But yeah, Dark Shards coming forward. They're pouring in fire now to the zombie gunnery mobs, which is a good target. They probably also want to start going after the Necrofex Colossus as well, but this handgun mob now getting compromised by the chariots is definitely not the best. But we do have the Gallows Giant on station. He does he do magic damage, or does it just... No, it's just fire. Okay, so he won't bypass the physical resistance of the Doomfire Warlocks there. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Looks like a bombardment coming down. Does a pretty good amount of damage. The Black Spot, again, they have anti-large armor piercing. I'm going to now activate the Lamprey's Revenge to stop up some of these chariot models and prevent them from getting really good charges. I guess that's not actually the Black Spot. The Black Spot are over on the far side, but yeah, the armor-piercing missiles starting to tell a little bit there. You can see the Doomfire Warlocks not doing great, and the Summoned Manticore up in the air, I just bum rush with all my bats. The bats, you know, they have enough numbers that with this surround like this, they can actually do some good damage and enrage the Manticore, which is all I need. I just need it to not come down to the ground and fight me. But Lamprey's Revenge and the missiles, able to see off 1 unit of Cold One Chariots. The Gallows Giant still just waiting patiently here. Doomfire Warlock's going to come in, and he's going to point blank try and roast them out. We'll do a little bit of friendly fire to some of those zombies, but that's fine. Oh no, they're gone. They're totally gone. But it does do enough to terrify away the Doomfire Warlocks, which is pretty decent. Meanwhile, on the front line, these Bleak Swords are learning the meaning of pain as they get ground down by zombies in the Lamprey's Revenge. That being said, the Lamprey's Revenge are in range of the crossbows, and we do have a second Summoned Manticore to try and pin them in place here. You can see the Cold One Knights finally being activated, having just sat back to try and stay out of range of the cannon, which is gone now. Yep, just got finished off there. I was trying to protect it. I managed to get it back online for a short amount of time, but eventually the Warlocks were able to finish it off, so Noctilus is going to come forward now and start to get on some of these other targets. Summon Feral Manticore, not really doing too hot, but likewise the Lamprey's Revenge have taken a ton of damage from those crossbows, so the balance of power is actually not looking great for me at the moment, just because there's still all these Cold One Knights online. And you can see the Gallows Giant is a little bit exposed over here alone. A lot of these polearms and stuff are not really in a position to support very well, so I'm going to have to start pulling him back. Likewise, the Lamprey's Revenge are just about finished off. A Spirit Leech there. They're down to 4 unit models, so some very good play by Aristo, trying to finish off a very high-value unit, and they are crumbling now, so that is pretty good stuff. Another bombardment, straight on the Black Spot this time. Does some pretty solid damage. But Noctilus is now in a protection position. The Cold One Knights are starting their rampage. You can see the Gallows Giant, unfortunately, is involved in melee with a big blob of them, which is not great. He should be able to have the mass to push through, maybe. Looks like he's having a little bit of a tough time of it, but here come the chariots. They're going to get a good charge into these zombies. I mean, granted, they are just zombie deckhands and polearms, but still. The polearms themselves will be able to do some decent return damage, but yeah, looks like we've got all kinds of effects going down. Soul Blight, Soul Stealer, Invocation of the Heck, healing up all these units as well. Now that we're here with the support, I'm not so worried about the Gallows Giant now that we've got the zombies on station. Black Spot going to get charged from two different sides. Any other unit with zombie handguns would probably just crumble away, but they are going to be able to hold at least for some time here. We're going to rush into some bats to try and support here and just give some extra bodies to soak hits. Meanwhile, the Supreme Sorceress in the back line, Slaanesh Harvesters, Cold One Knights, swinging up and around, trying to compromise the flank. Some zombies are chasing the Dark Sharks, though, not allowing them to rest. And the balance power not looking great for me at the moment, all things considered, but I do just have this massive, disgusting death blob here, which is going to be pretty hard to take down. Another Spirit Leech on the Gallows Giant, but I'm going to go ahead and respond with a huge Invocation of the Heck, catching a good percentage of my army on that one, including a couple summoned units as well. But yeah, the Cold One Knights at this point, they probably just aren't going to have enough in the tank to grind through all of this meat, especially the zombie polearms. And the fact that the Gallows Giant will come in here, provide a big armor-piercing boost, and also just do the Discourage effect. He also causes fear and terror, obviously. It's going to be very tough. The Dark Shards are in a position to continue firing, though, so they can potentially answer here. But you can see that unit of Cold One Knights just getting wrecked. Did affect the balance of power pretty badly, and there's all these zombie polearms here that are still just able to grind out. Likewise, the Black Spot, which are basically halberds, except they also have handguns, are still plenty healthy as well. And so anytime they have pull away to try and cycle charge, this is the result, is that they get shot, then they charge back in, and then they face anti-large armor-piercing zombies, and then they, you know, cycle out and get shot again. So it's just really a rough situation. The Gallows Giant also able to provide some Overwatch fire here. But yeah, all things considered, the balance of power is pretty even, and the Gallows Giant, if it were to go down here, could potentially swing things. The Cold One Knights continuing to try and cycle charge him out. I'm going to go ahead and take him to the other side of the line, just to try and keep him alive here. But you can see Noctilus, he's pretty angry about this whole situation, having lost his cannon and everything. And he's chasing these large units pretty heroically, I should say. And the Cold One Knights charging in here, again, able to do quite a bit of damage, but the Gallows Giant just still online, still providing that terror, that armor piercing, that discourage. All very, very key in this situation to see off the leadership. And you can see just the terror is a major, major issue for a lot of these Dark Elf units. And the balance power has finally tilted back in my favor. You can see the Doomfire Warlocks getting shattered there, a lot of the units getting shattered. We're finally able to catch the Dark Shards with some bats and then follow up with some zombies. So yeah, at this point it's pretty much just the Gallows Giant roasting out the last few Doomfire Warlocks and so on. And of course the Supreme Sorceress as well, trying to do her part, but she's getting dragged down by zombies some more as well. So yeah, Aristo's force not too much longer for this battle, but Noctilus Bombardment going to come down, try and hit the Supreme Sorceress right on the head. She doesn't have the most armor in the world, so it should be able to do some okay damage. That last hit especially did stagger her. Noctilus gets in, hits her with the steel chair, and she is pretty much done for at that point. With the loss of leadership, the rest of the Dark Elf forces are going to want to rout. The Supreme Sorceress Laura Beast getting hit by the Gallows Giant there. Pretty rough stuff, and then here we go. One more charge of the Cold One Knights into the Gallows Giant. Goes pretty much about as you would expect. A few of them getting roasted out. But yeah, as soon as they get into contact, they're going to terror out, and that will lead to army losses. So, well played to Aristo. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. The Gallows Giant, again, sort of the reasoning that you take him, the reason that I brought him in this build, and I guess in the tabletop tournament it wouldn't matter so much. He's just more of an this is just more of an all-comers list, but the idea with bringing the Gallows Giant is because mass infantry is usually the way people try and counter the Vampire Coast. He has anti-infantry armor piercing, and he does discourage, and he blows up infantry blobs. Like, he will just destroy infantry. So that's kind of the reason why I brought him in this build. Now, granted, on the flip side of that, he can do very well against cavalry-focused builds also, as you guys saw here. He was able to deal with those Cold One Knights pretty decently, as long as he wasn't fighting all of them at once, all alone. Likewise, the overwatch from the handguns was pretty helpful. Obviously, having 5 unbreakable zombie polearms against a mostly cavalry army is going to be pretty rough regardless for the cavalry army, but credit to Aristo, he played that very, very well and almost had me there at a few different moments, able to take down the Lamprey's Revenge, able to take down the Carronade. Unfortunately, obviously, the zombie deckhands just were a little bit too much for him. I almost think that if he had brought even just like Flock of Doom along with the Manticore summon, rather than using the Manticore summon in this matchup, if he had just spammed Flock of Doom on the polearms, that might have done enough, you know, over the course of a long, grindy battle to help swing it. It's hard to say. Obviously, the Manticores are also a very useful tool to have, but I do think some area of effect damage spells might have benefited him, even, you know, just as an all-comers list, to have that Flock of Doom. It helps you deal with builds like this a little bit more effectively, but nonetheless, obviously, it is an all-comers list. He didn't know that I was going to be taking a Vampire Coast list, so, you know, it kind of up a creek without a paddle at that point. But nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed watching. It was a very fun battle. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.